All right, we are back and we are live. Welcome back, you guys. Welcome back to our daily live feed. As you're getting logged on here, if you'd like to come work with me, suitsandposing.com is where you have to go. We do hair, makeup, suits and posing, all the fun stuff when it comes to competing. What's up, Holly? You made it. Did you get a little nap? I know some of you are in prep right now for spring shows. Some of you are looking to get into prep soon. That is going to be actually something I'm going to ask you guys about in a little bit once we get everybody on here. I have a question for you guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What's up, Brandy? What's up, Christina? Hello, Raven. If you are logging on, say hi. If you're on Instagram, we will be screen sharing over on YouTube. You can also see the screen share from Facebook as well. The place that you can see everything, where you can see the questions, all that kind of stuff, is on YouTube. And with that also, we have Spotify QR code right here. So this takes you so that you can go into our anchor page and subscribe and listen to us on Spotify. I am uploading our episodes as we go. So it looks like this when you get onto our anchor page. And then all you got to do is click on here and that takes you to Spotify, but you can scroll down on this page and also see all of our videos and everything going up. So you can listen to them either in podcast format or in video format after when the replays are up. And yeah, I got a question for you this time, Randy. We are going to do a preview tonight of the Orchid Pro. It's not a big lineup, but it's worthy of mentioning and noting. There's a few things that we want to talk about with that. But I do have a question for you guys too, going into this particular evening. Oh yes, taking it up a few notches, just a few. So for those of you that haven't been on with us the last few nights, the reason why we have moved over to Spotify as well is for Arnold coverage. So since I'll be covering the Arnold for media, what I'm going to do is while I'm there at prejudging and all that stuff and at finals, I'm going to record my commentary, the audio. So what you can do is you can purchase the live stream from the Arnold. So you'll have the visual there. And then once the prejudging is wrapped, that kind of thing, I'll upload my audio into Spotify. So you can go in and listen to that along with the live stream. So then that way you get the best of both worlds. So you get the live stream, you get the video, you get everything from the Arnold, and then you get my insights and my thoughts on what I think's going on in real time. So that's what the Spotify link is there for. So get in there and get subscribed there. So it makes, we're just trying to get on any platforms that we can that make it easier and more accessible. Let me know which platforms you like the best as well. Because then that way we can, concentrate our efforts onto the various ones that you guys like. I personally like YouTube the best. I listen to everything on YouTube. It's rare that I'll listen to podcasts off of YouTube, to be honest with you. I listen to podcasts while I'm training and things like that, while I'm driving, and it's all through YouTube. But I know a lot of people do use Spotify and Apple Podcasts, which we'll get on there too. That's the next one we're going to get up on too. And things like that too. So you'll have the option of different platforms. Okay. So as I mentioned tonight, we are going to preview the Orchid Pro. Before we get into that, I wanted to have a little discussion with you guys because one of the segments that I've been doing recently has been my whole bikini girl in the bodybuilding world. And I've been giving little, off-season updates as far as what's been going on with my own prep and things like that. And I'm not in prep. I'm in off-season. I'm not even planning on going to prep anytime soon. But what I've found is I feel like it's a little boring on my end. I think it's a little boring, meaning I can sit and I can talk to myself all day long, but I would much rather have a conversation. So what I was thinking about doing is, if you've watched any of those where I'm giving little updates about, what's going on and how we're updating my macros and my training or whatever, I was thinking about doing that in a live feed format where you guys are there and you can kind of put in your 2 cents on your own off seasons or preps or whatever you're going through. So it can be a conversation. Because again, I just, I'm sitting here like recording and doing this little thing, and I'm just like, this just is boring to me. Like, it's just boring to me. So I'm thinking maybe it's boring for you guys to watch too. So I still want to do the bikini girl in the bodybuilding world, but what I want to do is I want to just do that with show footage. Like if I'm at a show and I've got back behind the scenes footage and things like that, I can upload that. Like I've got footage from the Victory and Posing Clinic, and I've been sitting there trying to edit it along with what I did with my own update. And I'm like, this doesn't fit. You know what I mean? So it doesn't go together well. So I'm thinking, instead of doing it that way, instead of doing it through the YouTube upload, maybe taking one of these nights each week to kind of talk about how our those kinds of things, like you just said, Raven, we're talking about that stuff where we're having transparency on my weight fluctuations and training and things like that. Things I think you guys can relate to those things. But again, I kind of like it better in the format of a conversation versus me just talking at the screen. Right. So I think that could be fun. And what we typically do with these live feeds as we get into the season and things like that, and we get more shows. So our Thursdays tend to be our preview nights for the shows that are coming up. And then Tuesdays typically are our wrap-up nights. So we sometimes have that Wednesday night, or maybe we have a little bit of Thursday or something like that, where we have time to talk about these kinds of things. You know what I mean? I don't think it's boring because I listen during workouts, drives, and cardio, but it'll be equally with the chat as well. Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad you don't find it boring. I find myself boring, I guess. I'm like sitting there. I'm like, I'm just talking at the screen. I feel like I just like having the interaction a whole lot more. You know what I mean? Like I like doing these live feeds because I get to get your comments in on it, and that contributes to what we talk about, right? So we end up talking about things that I probably wouldn't bring up on my own if we didn't have the comments coming in. You know what I mean? So with that, I thought we could kind of do that tonight. I do. I miss you. That's exactly what it is. I miss you. That's right. So our preview tonight is relatively short, so we will do that at the end. So I was thinking maybe we could go through kind of where we are now. And this is your opportunity to put in your 2 cents, things like that too. Like Brandy, for example, I noticed your posts every time that you do a check-in, you check in and do your wrap up on your post on Instagram of what you checked in with your coach. So this is your opportunity to kind of talk about what's going on with you too, and how it may relate to what is going on with me and maybe some other people in the chat and things like that too. So, so I just thought we could kind of start off with that. So going with kind of the theme of what Raven just mentioned about the weight fluctuations and things like that. So let's just talk about my check-in today, and then feel free to put in whatever you want on this part of it. So, so that, Brandy, I'm glad you brought that up, because that is actually something that we're going to start doing when our website launches. So that's coming. Some of you guys know this already because we're in on the athlete search sale, but we are launching our website next month. So that is coming. So it's a brand new website, brand new portal, everything. So that's coming. So there will be more in-depth discussions behind the scenes, basically, right? The free content you get here, but there will be more in-depth stuff, right? There will be more in-depth, of course, behind the scenes, where we can get into nitty gritty and things like that. So just to kind of start on that topic, feel free to chime in here too as I start talking here. But I did check in today, and I actually went through my period this past week, my cycle. And I still have a little, it's like tapering off now. But one thing that didn't happen to me this time around is I didn't gain weight going into it. I don't know about you guys, but typically when I'm about to start my period, I gain like 3, 4, 5 pounds leading up into it. I didn't gain it all. Nothing. I gained nothing. And I think it started on Friday or Saturday, something like that. But zero weight gain, which is weird. That's really, really weird. That doesn't happen. Like typically I do put on a couple of pounds at least going into it. But it was about 3 days early, which last month it was about 3 days late. So I guess I just evened out. But through that, I didn't have any of the normal symptoms that I typically do when I'm on my cycle. Like usually the first day is really rough because of cramping and things like that. I didn't have that problem. I trained right through it. It was not a problem at all. And I found myself getting more and more round and full and swole through this whole week, like in a good way. I don't know if you guys saw my pictures when I updated and everything like that, but I looked like I put on muscle in the last week. Pretty significantly. The only thing that really changed this week, the only thing that was really different, I did bump my macros up a couple weeks ago. Jamie, my coach, did bump my macros up a couple weeks ago. So that's part of it. It takes my body a couple of weeks to kind of catch on to the macro bump, that kind of thing. So it takes a couple weeks for that to show. But also like this week, I didn't go out at all. Every other week, like in the last month or so, I've had like a night out where I've eaten on macros, but it's been processed food, or I've had a couple of drinks or whatever. We had Super Bowl party, things like that. I didn't have any of that this week. So my whole week was very stable. So I came out of it to this morning at the same weight that I was last Thursday. But I don't know if you guys saw my progress photo updates, but I looked like I gained weight, like in a good way. I looked like I put on muscle since last week. But I think really what it was more than anything else is I just kept everything stable. I didn't travel. I didn't go eat out anywhere. I didn't go drinking. I hit all of my training really hard. I hit all of my cardio. I did everything how I was supposed to do it without any fluctuations at all. So it just kind of shows you how much you can progress if you give yourself the ability to just stay on plan 100% this way, right? So my sleep has been a little bit better. You guys all know that have been on here with me and that have been on my Facebook and stuff like that. We've had issues with Piggle and our older dog, who is going through cancer and all this kind of stuff. Well, she's been out of the woods for the last week or so, and she's actually acting now like better than she was prior to the surgery. So it's like almost like a stress release. It's a good thing. Like we want her to have good quality of life. She still has, she still has cancer, and we know that, and we have to manage that, which is an additional stressor. But at the same time, it's not us going to the emergency room at 3:00 in the morning, that kind of thing. So, so it's been a level week. It's been an even week. So I don't know about you guys. I know some of you guys have been traveling. Brandy, I know you were just traveling. Christina, I know you travel a lot. Holly, you tend to travel quite a bit too, but I don't know about you guys, but when I'm at home and everything is 100% an even keel, magic happens, right? So, I got another macro bump this week because I was starving all week long. That again could have been because of my period, but I really think it was more because I was lifting heavier every day, basically. How many of you guys saw my PR yesterday on Instagram? It's like, it was messy. It was really ugly. It was really, really bad. But hey, I did it. I was just like, I'm going to get this damn dumbbell up in the air. You know what I mean? It's going to happen. So I have never pushed myself past 35-pound dumbbells for shoulder presses ever until yesterday. So thank you to Jordan, who she posted that in her stories that she got PRs at 45-pound dumbbells. So I was like, damn it, I'm going to do this too. I'm going to hit this too. So, I got the 40s up, no problem. But, started to feel it. Started to feel it out of the 40s. But I'm actually really happy that I did that, because now I know when I'm going to max out, I know I can max out on the 40s and I'm okay. And I'm good on that. But I think what I need to have happen is I need to have Dan, my husband, come with me to the gym and help me actually get the dumbbells up on the 45s, because I didn't think at that point then I could press them, but it just took so much effort to actually pull them up that I just couldn't get them up from there. So if you guys didn't see it, what I did is I dropped them down and I went to one dumbbell and I used my other hand to help me get it up. And then I just pressed from there. And I did get 4 or 5 reps out on each side. So, so that, I mean, I toasted my shoulders yesterday. They're done. They're done. So, traveling is hard and throws off my body, holding water and not as much rest. Yeah. For me, I hold water. I have a hard time with digestion when I travel. That is a big thing, you guys. If you're not drinking enough water, your digestion will be off. So make sure when you travel, especially make sure you're getting a lot of water in, because that will help. You can bump your water up when you travel. That'll help. I actually do really good when I travel. I still stay on plan when I travel, but it's always a little bit different. Like you're going to end up getting different foods, processed foods, or foods that have more sodium or whatever. Unless you bring everything with you, which I do bring most of my stuff with me. But, you know, when I'm traveling to shows, things like that, it's not me just sitting there at a show. I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning doing hair and makeup or whatever it might be when I'm traveling during the season. And it's an all day thing. So, you know, it's the resting part is the hard part for me, is getting the consistent rest. Rest and water, so important, guys, at all times when you're prepping and when you're off season. Rest and water is so important. So important. Once I got home and started resting and being still, my body is readjusting. Also made sure to try to at least walk a lot when I travel. Yeah. Get some steps in. Yep, absolutely. So let's do the aisles. It's easier to get up on the flight. Yeah. See, here's the thing. So I always sit on the aisle anyway, because I have long ass legs. So I like to put my legs out into the aisle as much as I can to stretch out. So I always get an aisle seat for that reason. But yeah, that makes it doable. So you can get up, walk around a little bit, go to the bathroom, whatever you need to do, right? Drink water, but also peppermint oil and ginger root. So yeah, I do this ginger root 100%. So I bring ginger root tea with me everywhere I go. So ginger root tea is something that I'll drink every single night when I travel, because that absolutely helps. And I've been doing a cocktail of like turmeric and things like that. My husband gives it to me. I don't even know what it is. Just supplements at night before I go to bed. And I've been taking those ever since I got COVID at Christmas. And my digestion and inflammation has gone way down, taking all that stuff regularly. So inflammation is real, you guys. I didn't realize how much that affected me until I started doing that. And honestly, I started doing all of that because I got sick from COVID. If it weren't for that, I wouldn't be doing all of this. And now I'm like better. My body is functioning better now than it ever was before I got COVID. So it was a blessing in disguise for me, honestly. It really was. So I tend to feel it about 2 to 3 days after traveling. Always have food. Yeah. What happens with me is like the first day that I actually travel to wherever my location is, that tends to be an okay day. The following day is when I feel run down and it's hard for me to digest food and go to the bathroom and all those kinds of things. Usually by like the third day that I am somewhere, I get back to being normal, and that's when I go home. Yeah, ginger root is hugely helpful. So is turmeric, all of that as well. And ginger root tea is good. Like there's nothing, the ginger root tea that I have is not, it's not super like flavorful, if that makes sense. It's good, but it's not like it has a distinct taste. And you can get them mixed with other things, like infused with other things as well. If you like them to taste better, whatever floats your boat, that kind of thing. I don't mind. To me, it's not like a powerful taste, if that makes sense. I used to do like shots of turmeric, but I don't do that anymore because turmeric stains everything. It's yellow and it stains everything. So now I have the little capsule form, so I just take those. I used to get it all over everything. It was terrible. Yeah, so you can also do, and the fresh ginger, you can also do, if you have the macros, you can do candied ginger too. They do the crystallized ginger. That's actually really good. I like it. It's like a little bit of a spiciness to it. Yeah, the spiciness to the crystallized ginger too. Yep. Yeah, I'm not a huge tea drinker. I'll be honest. I'm not a huge tea drinker, but I do make it a point of drinking it when I'm traveling, 100%. And if I'm having issues with my digestion or anything like that, inflammation, that kind of thing, that's when I pull it out at home. I have a turmeric tea that I use as well, but I don't really use that as much. I don't like the taste of turmeric really. So again, that's why I do the supplements, little capsules, and we're good. We get the effects without the taste. Turmeric, the ginger tea is actually good. Like I said, it's not a super strong flavor. I do actually really like the crystallized ginger. It's actually really good. It's like candy. So you gotta be careful because there are carbs in it because it's crystallized in sugar. But that's helpful too. That's helpful too. It helps with digestion. So, yeah, over here, crystallized ginger is dangerous. It is. It's like a sweet spiciness. It's actually really good. Off season, yes. Yep. I'm assuming ginger would come in capsules. I don't know. I've never had it in capsules. I don't know, but it does help. Does help. I would assume it comes in capsules. Yeah. So all of these little things, like again, like the inflammation thing is real, you guys. Like I also posted up in my personal page, my stories today, I posted up comparison shots from October 27th and today, because I'm trying different placements for my hip straps on my bottoms, my bikini bottoms. And those ones I had the hip straps pulled up way up high, and that's the last time that I had them really pulled way up high. So I wanted to compare the two pictures. But I also went back and looked at my weight, and my weight was actually 2 pounds heavier in October than it is now. And I attribute that 100% to inflammation. Like I've put muscle on since October. It's really clear, easy to see that I put on muscle since October, but my inflammation has come down, and my inflammation came down because of all the stuff that I did because of having COVID. So it honestly, it was definitely a blessing in disguise, 100%. So capsules, right? Yeah. I tell Dan every night when I go to bed, I said, Dan, I need my medicines. That's my medicines. And turmeric is one of them. It is. Yep. But yeah, so all those things, that again, that's another thing that I'm testing is the hip strap placement. So if you saw those on my stories, I'm noticing, this is why you have to have an eye for this kind of stuff. I always would pull my hip straps up super high because it makes my waistline look smaller. And it does make my waistline look smaller. But one of the things that I noticed really a lot this year is just the length of my legs. I have really long legs. And I really noticed this the most from the photos from the Dallas Pro, how much longer my legs were than everybody else on stage. So a lot of the things that I'm doing now is I'm trying to balance my frame. So by pulling the hip straps down just a little, it actually helps to make my torso look a little bit longer, and it makes my legs look a little bit shorter. And again, we talked about getting the Olympian heels, the Olympian 2.0s, the 4.5 inch, that helps my legs look a little bit shorter too. So it's putting my body into better proportion. So again, looking at these things, I have to look at these things with an objective eye. I tell you guys this all the time. A lot of times we pose and we do things to satisfy what we see. For me, I want my waistline to look small, right? So whatever I do, I want my waistline to look small. But in reality, what I need to see is I need to see a balance between my upper and my lower body. So I have to take my own personal preferences out of it for a second and realize that's what my frame needs to do, right? My frame needs to look balanced. This is the case on the opposite end too. Like if you need to shorten your torso, then pulling your hip straps up higher would help with that. Things along that line. And that's why you have to have somebody that can look at you and see you objectively like that, and make sure that we're putting your frame together the best way it can be put together. So I just noticed that. Really noticed it. I've been paying attention to it ever since Dallas, you know what I mean? But then I've been noticing that with my hip straps, and I'm just like, I think if I pull this down a little bit, I'm like, I think it'll help. Right now, I don't like the way it looks really, because I am thicker and I don't have the V in my waistline that I will have once I'm stage lean. But I have to see and view myself of how I will look once I get to the stage versus what I look like now, right? So same things that you guys have to look at, right? That's why coach wants straps higher and high heels, opposite problem. Right. Yeah, that's right. Absolutely, Bethany. That is correct. You have you are shorter and you need to make those legs look longer. So that's right. You've got to do the opposite of what I have to do. Right. So yeah, waistline is the first thing I look at, right? And my waistline's tight, don't get me wrong, but I always want it to look smaller, right? That's just what I see. I want my waistline to look smaller. But really where I've been noticing it most is, again, I'm trying out these different suit cuts for my glutes, right? And I'm noticing my glutes getting rounder and fuller, and I want them to look like that. And if I hike my hip straps up too high, then my glutes look like they're flat. So that's where I was trying to find that balance, right? So I feel like I found actually a pretty good balance today when I was putting the suit on. Again, I didn't have them really low, but I didn't have them really high either. And I feel like I found a good balance. So that is going to be transferring over to how I actually designed my stage suit. So I'm going to make a few adjustments and tweaks to my stage suit for this year. So yeah, the waistline is always the thing. Hey, Karen, though, you always have the tight waistline. See, that's the thing. Like some girls, I always said this to myself. I said, I would love it if in the off season I could have big round booty and a six pack. If I could have that, I'd be so happy, but it's never going to happen. That said, as long as I can keep my waistline tight, which goes back to this inflammation thing that we were just talking about, as long as I can keep my waistline tight and flat and not puffy, I'm good. I'm happy about that, right? Which I have been able to do since December. So this is the first time in my life that I've been able to do that. And I'm like, woo, thank you, COVID. Right? It just made me realize a lot of things, right? And it made me pay attention to things and solutions to things, right? So okay, got this second one, but maybe these abs, let's pray. Yeah, I know, right? And that's the thing. Like I've always said that. I was like, I wish I could just keep my waistline small and my booty big, and then I'd be happy. So, I mean, I'm at that point now where I feel like I finally got it there. And I didn't even look like this when I was at the Olympia, because I was puffy, and I was at that point where I was just like, I'm feeling uncomfortable. You know what I mean? And I'm not puffy anymore. When you get rid of that puffiness, you start feeling a whole lot better about yourself, right? Inflammation. Not only is it a visual thing, but inflammation is a killer, you guys. Inflammation in your body is a killer. It is the reason why disease takes over your body and things like that, heart disease and things like that. That's all inflammation. Right? So the more that you can cut that inflammation down, the better off you're going to be health-wise too. So it's not just the visual. The visual is great, you know what I mean? But it's the internal part too. So if you're inflamed inside, that's not good. That's where all of those sicknesses come from. So bring that inflammation down as best you can. Get yourself some ginger, some turmeric, drink all your water, get that blood flow going, make everything move through your body, right? That's why exercise is so important. It gets things moving. It gets that blood flow going and gets that inflammation out, right? So anything anybody else wants to add here before we move on to our preview? Because again, it's going to be a short preview night tonight. So I wanted to kind of, test this out, see what you guys thought. I think it's a good little method here, right? Yeah. Well, the typical American diet keeps you inflamed all the time. Everything is so loaded with preservatives and sodium and bullshit that you shouldn't have in your diet. You know what I mean? So just by eating clean foods and whole foods, that alone is going to help you quite a bit. Yeah, I've actually never tried aloe for the digestion aspect, but I do know people use it. Yeah. I haven't used it. I don't have any personal experience with it, but I do know some people do use it. So with all that said, I'm really happy about my off season and my progress and my growth and everything that's coming along with that. Have no idea when I'll actually start cutting. I will see Jamie in person at the Arnold next week, so I'm happy about that. So she can see where I'm at and what we want to do. I just feel like I'm in a really good spot right now, and I just want to continue to build the density. I tell you guys all the time, there is no sense in prepping if your body's not ready to prep yet. I want to be ready to kill it when I actually go to get on stage again. So I want to make sure I'm nice and solid. So, yep. So it'll definitely move things. Oh God. Oh, okay. So aloe to go to the bathroom. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I try to just, I don't do too well with like supplements, like fiber supplements, things like that. Digestive enzymes, yes. Probiotics, prebiotics, all that, yes. But I try to keep it in my food, if that makes sense. I try to keep I try to keep my food as dense with fiber and nutrients, things like that, to keep my body moving in that regard. You know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely. Alcohol is absolutely something that will inflame you 100%. So I have no problem with people drinking. I drink, you know what I mean? But just in moderation, just like anything else. Understand that if you do a lot, you're going to impede your health and your goals. So I like to drink like, once a week. Once I get into prep, not at all. Maybe I'll have one drink or something like that a month when I'm in prep. When I'm off season, I'll have a drink, 2 drinks once a week, that kind of thing. If I'm going out, having dinner, that kind of deal, date night, all of that, but not on a regular basis. Not on a regular basis. I'm a lightweight anyway. I have 1 drink, I'm done. I'm good. except for at CCTS weekend where I had several and they did not affect me at all. I think the adrenaline just had me going. I was good with the adrenaline. So, all right. So let's move on and let's preview the Orchid Pro. Okay. So, it is a very small list, but it is still a competitive list. So share that. First of all, they have figure. I did look up this actual pro list for figure as well, and the only name on here really is Boyana. So she's the only one that was in the Olympia this past year. So on paper, she should be the clear winner. She should be the clear winner of this show in figure. But a lot of these girls we haven't seen because they're all from these Asian countries and things like that. So who knows? We could end up having somebody come out and win this whole thing. And if they do, that's going to set a pretty good precedent for them because Boyana tends to be one of the top competitors over and over, that kind of thing. So, again, for figure, I mean, she's really the only one that we know anything about is Boyana. So I would guess she's going to win it, but we'll see. As was evidenced by the Japan Pro last week, a lot of these girls have been resting off season, that kind of thing. So who knows? Somebody could come in and kill it. Yeah, pineapple will help with digestion too. Yep, definitely. So bikini, we're seeing almost a repeat of last week with some other names in here. So let's see. I thought I pulled up. Hold on. I thought I had it up on the. Here it is. So Shanae is competing again, which we talked about her just a couple days ago. She's from Australia, 5'11", beautiful frame, beautiful girl, lots of muscle. But because she's 5'11", she has to have a lot of muscle. That's just part of it. You guys know this. The taller you are, the more muscle you have to carry in order to be competitive against the shorter girls. So she took, 4th here in Japan. I saw her make a post saying something about her shoulders, not to pump her shoulders. So I'm guessing her feedback was that her shoulders were overpowering, which I can understand that. I can see what they're saying. Like you can see right here from this photo, her shoulders are pretty popping right there. Those are some boulder shoulders. So we'll see what she does to change this up going into the show. I think she's got a great frame and a great look. The hard part, again, is just that because she's so tall, it's hard to compare her because she's going to have to be more muscular in order to compare with these smaller girls. Also mentioned that I would rather see her in her other suit that's more of that bluish purple. I think it's a better contrast on her skin tone. So we'll see if she wears that one or if she sticks with the pink. I don't know if she got any kind of feedback on it. That's just my personal opinion. I like her better in her other suit. So we'll see what she does this coming weekend. But I do expect to see her in the top. She could potentially pull out a win here with a few adjustments. This will be a different judging panel as well. So who knows? They may judge it completely different than how Japan was judged. So I'm glad you're learning a lot, Shawana. That's good. That's what we're here for. That's good. So we'll see. We'll see how she does here. Let me see if there's a decent back shot. As we know, with these Asian shows, they do 1,000 photos. So let's see if I can just pull up a back shot so we don't have to go through all of these. So you can kind of see here. I mean, again, the lighting at this particular show was difficult. I think her glutes are full enough, all of that. We talked about her back pose. I wanted to see her pose a little bit differently on her back pose. Let me pull that up. Here we go. So I just felt like she was yanking in her back pose. So if she just kind of relaxes this a little bit, lets those shoulders, those arms drop, so the shoulders round out and kind of complete that X frame here. And I think that would also help her push her glutes up a little higher with the upper glute. So just an adjustment on that back pose. Would it make a difference if she adjusts her wrist placement for her shoulders, i.e. turn the thumb in instead of out? Let me look at her front pose again, and I will answer that. Let me see. No. I don't think that her wrist placement really makes a huge difference here. I think she's just got a lot of muscle and she just needs to not pump it up. You know, that's it. I mean, I think she goes in just showing her shape. I think she'll be fine. Yeah, I don't think that the wrist, hand, or the thumb or anything is going to make a huge difference there in her particular scenario. It could in somebody else, but in her particular scenario, I don't think so. I think it's just a matter of just not pumping up. You know, she's just got a lot of size there. She just got a lot of size, so it's a fine balance. It's a really fine balance right there for her. But yeah, she has a good chance of winning this. I mean, she does. So she's one to be on the radar. Next one we have is Alessia. So Alessia is jumping into this. This is a good or a bad thing for Alessia. She didn't do great at the Olympia in comparison to how she has in the past, so I'm sure she wants to come back and redeem herself. She is in the Arnold next week. So it's kind of a smart move. I mean, she's from Italy, so it's like she's going here and then she'll come here to the States, right? So it's not like she's adding more travel in. It's just kind of she's just stopping in between and going the opposite direction kind of thing. So it might be a good idea just so that she can make some final adjustments going into the Arnold. She was just a little bit downsized, really, at the Olympia. The Olympia just wasn't her best look as far as size is concerned, and that's because she competed a lot this past year. She just kind of needs a little bit of a break, right? She was a late add-on to the Arnold. Because they had, people drop off and things like that. So I'm curious to see if she was able to do anything in these last 2 months. The thing with Alessia is she just competes so much. Having 2 months off for her is a long time off for her. So she could come back looking really refreshed and totally different because that's just how she is. You know what I mean? So if this show goes well for her, if this Orchid Pro goes well for her, that bodes well for her going into the Arnold, just like we talked about with Phoebe doing Battle of Texas and then going into the Olympia, so if it goes well for her, great, awesome. If it doesn't go well for her, then she's got to make some serious adjustments going into the Arnold. So what do you do? But at the same time, I will also say this. I don't think anybody has her predicted in the top 5 or anything like that at the Arnold. So why not jump into this show and see if she can make some adjustments in a couple of weeks, right? So strategy-wise, I think this is probably a pretty smart move. She could potentially pull out a win here and then get her Olympic qualification. That is a possibility for her. Or at the very least, she can make some adjustments going into the Arnold for next week that will help her at the Arnold. So strategy-wise, probably a smart idea, right? Probably a smart idea. So we'll see what she looks like. Let's see. And we have Natalia, who just won Japan. She has a few presentation details I mentioned. I'd like to see change on her to make her a little bit more put together here, like with the suit, things like that. I felt like her posing was good. She probably could have fixed her makeup and her hair a little bit. I didn't mention that on the wrap up, but I'd like to see a little bit of a cleaner look with the hair and makeup. This isn't her fully posed. Let's see if I can find, well, maybe it is. I thought it was her, wasn't her fully posed, but maybe it is. One more, I think. Yeah, so there's a few adjustments she can make. You know, we talked about the suit. This pose is a little bit hiked up. I don't feel like she posed like this during the comparisons. I just feel like this was just probably a nervous pose or something during her presentation. But there's just a few things that she could improve. So the suit we talked about, makeup is too dark, so she needs to lighten up that makeup and brighten her face up a little bit. Also not a fan of the blue nails. You guys know this. If you're wearing a blue suit, don't do blue nails. Right? Don't do matchy, guys. Do neutrals. So there's a few little, again, presentation details that she can fix to make this a better package for her. Obviously, she would probably be our front runner going into this show because she did just win. But again, going back to, this is a different judging panel, so anything could happen. And we got some different people on there, so anything could happen. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm sure what her goal is probably to win, but also to make those little adjustments that she probably got from her feedback so that she has a really good package and she knows what to bring to maybe her next show, or if she's going to take time off till Olympia. So, you know, doing a back-to-back show is a smart idea. So I would probably do that and just try to bring in a better package this time around. Let's see what else we got. Eureka is another one to be paying attention to. Now, she dropped out of the top 5 at Japan, but again, she placed higher at the Olympia. So she's going to try and make a few adjustments and come in looking a little bit fuller, a little bit tighter. And if she can do that a little bit more balanced, she could very well take out this show too. So there's a lot of these girls going into this show that just competed last week. And I believe the show is actually tomorrow too, by the way. So it's less than a week between the two shows. So if she makes a few adjustments, she could easily come out on top at this particular show, right? So let's see the adjustments that she makes, see if she can come in a little bit tighter, get a little bit more pop to her muscle, and then take it from there. Maybe she can win this, right? Let's see who else we got. So Karen just placed 5th at Japan. We just talked about her too. I believe this was like her first pro show, that kind of thing. And she did win the tiebreaker between her and Eureka. So it'll be interesting to see the two of them go up against each other again. I felt like she had a pretty good overall look. Needs a little bit more glutes, that kind of thing. But overall, she's got a really pretty balanced physique here. Now, if you notice, she's got actually really bright makeup, meaning in a good way. So this is what I was talking about with Natalia. Natalia needs to brighten up her face a little bit. This is good right here. This is a really good makeup look. And I like her suit and her whole look here. I think she did a really good job with her look and her presentation. So we'll see how she ends up on this particular show. She could end up moving up. You know, we'll see. We'll see. She's another one to be looking at. And I also brought up pictures of Boyana. So this is Boyana, the one I mentioned with figure. So I'll just show her real quick. She would be the one that I would assume would come in this, but we'll see. We'll see. So let's see. So if I had to guess, whoops, I hit the wrong thing. Sorry. If I had to guess, I would say coming into this, like I said, Natalia is probably the one that's going to be your front runner. But it really could go any which way, especially, you know, if they were getting up in front of the same judges, I would say maybe it would play out the same way. But I don't think that that's going to happen with a new judging panel, because these girls, like I mentioned with our wrap up this week with Japan, they all had little things that were good, and they had all had little things that were off. So if they all fix those things that were off, then they may end up really flip-flopping a lot of these placings. I'll just say that Natalia will win it again just because she came in off of a win, but that's the only reason why. That's the only reason why. This really could go to any one of these girls that I just mentioned, or any of the girls on here that I didn't mention too. Because there's a few girls on here, obviously, that we don't know. So we'll see. What do you guys think? Any thoughts on this particular lineup? Any thoughts on who you think is going to take the title home in this one? So like I said, that was a quick preview. So I guess we'll do that kind of thing each week. It may not be on Thursdays, and maybe a different night. It'll be on one of the nights each week where we have we want to go into a little bit more in depth as far as how our preps and off seasons are going, so that way we can bounce things off each other. And I think you guys gave some really good comments about digestion and all those kinds of things, and travel and all that as we went along. And Alessia and Shanae battle, perhaps, maybe. They have very, very different physiques. So I don't think so. I think, to be honest with you, because Shanae's physique is so, and I say this in the best possible way, is so freakish, because it is. And again, that's meant as a compliment. I think she's got to go into one of these shows and just win it, because I feel like there's not a whole lot of people that compare very well to her. Being that she's 5'11", you know, somebody I think that would compare well to her that hasn't competed in a while is Masa. If you guys remember Masa, again, 5'11", a lot of muscle. I think the two of them next to each other would be really cool, because I think the two of them would compare very, very well to each other. Or even, what's her name out of that just won the 3 shows? The one from Czech Republic that everybody, why can't I think of her name? Victoria, whatever her name was. One of her too. Maybe put her in the mix there as well. The one that was super tall that won three shows this past year. Again, I think it was, what was her name? Valeria. That girl. Put them together. So that's what I think. I think if we get some of these taller, more muscular girls together, that would be really cool to see. Because again, when you are that tall and that long, you have to carry more size. You have to, in order to be comparable. So that's how she gets into those top call outs. But again, she's just got to go into one of these shows and just lay it out and just win it. So that's how she's going to get herself to the Olympia. Cause that's kind of what Masa did. I mean, that's what this girl, Valeria, that's what she did. You know, that's what's got to happen. She's just got to lay him away. So it's difficult because you got to balance that size with aesthetics and the balance of bikini still. Right. So, we see that with Laura Lee too. Laura Lee's on the taller side, you know, so she's very different when she's got full round muscle versus when she comes in too thin. We see both, or she comes in too big. We've seen her come in too big as well. Chicago Pro last year, not this year, but the year before, was too big, you know? So there's a fine balance when I got this one hair that's just poking right up. It doesn't want to lay down. But anyway, there's a fine balance when you're that tall where you can go from looking too big, too muscular, or too soft, or too conditioned to skinny real quick. There's like no in between. It's really hard to nail it when you're that tall. It's really, really hard. One little thing could throw the whole thing off. So we'll see. And again, I think that their show is actually tomorrow. So I think they do actually compete tomorrow. But with that, we'll wrap it up for the preview. And if we've got some pictures, things like that, we'll go ahead and do a wrap up next week before I leave to head up to the Arnold, because I head up on Wednesday. So we'll have Tuesday night if we've got some footage that we can wrap it up. I hope you guys all had a great week so far. We had a busy weekend of clients and stuff like that coming up, and then we're off to the races with the Arnold next week. And like I said, because of that, you guys should get up here, right there, scan that QR code. That'll take you to our Spotify page, our Anchor page, so that you can listen to us on Spotify. Get on there so that you have that for the Arnold, so that you can listen to my commentary, my thoughts as it's going down. Get the actual live stream from the Arnold as well. And that way you compare the two and get my thoughts as we move along, all of this stuff. All right. And also let me know what you think as far as the different platforms. Let me know which platforms you like the best. Subscribe to all of them. Comment, like, all of those things. All of those things. And with that, I'm going to let y'all go for this evening. There you go. Love it. Love it. Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, so like I said, I'll be, I've got my little mic set up and everything ready to go. So I'll be recording right there while I'm there in the expo and at the actual show itself. And as soon as I have it recorded, I'll upload it so you guys can listen to it. So the new segment again. Are you talking about what we're doing with the wrap-ups and preps and off seasons? So basically what I was saying, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you can just rewatch it. So you'll want to rewatch it too, because I talked about updates and things like that, and there were a lot of really good suggestions that the girls all had as well. So go ahead and do that as well. No, I won't be doing a meetup at the Arnold specifically because I won't have time. I'm going to be going from prejudging to photo shoots to finals. So I'm literally not going to have any time. So unfortunately, but with that said, of course, I'm sure I'll see you guys there. Of course, I'm sure I will see you guys there. So, all right. This person keeps commenting. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, there's only a handful of us going. But if you're there and you see me, of course, stop and say hi. I've got work to do. I got work to do. I got shit to handle, right? The SWS dates will come out soon. Don't worry. I haven't forgotten. We just have 1,000 things to do as always. As always, we got 1,000 things to do. But they'll be coming. Don't worry. And I'll post those on Instagram once we have them confirmed. And that's it. I think that's it. So have a great rest of your week. Have a great weekend. I will try to get on live on Tuesday night before I head out on Wednesday. And then I'll see some of you guys up there in Columbus. And it'll be a busy, busy week. So have a great night. And I'll see you back here live. Let's see what happens at the Orchid Pro. All right. I'm going to X out of YouTube or Instagram first. So, suitswithposey.com. Scan the QR code. Be good. All right. Good night, you guys.